Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to continue our coverage for the 2026 World Cup FIFA. Now, today we have 3 matches that we're going to cover. That being Spain versus Portugal, USA versus Belgium, and Argentina versus Egypt. Now, these matches may look straightforward, but as you know, in the World Cup knockout round, nothing is guaranteed. So let's get right into our first match. But for disclosure first, I want to say that if I'm pronouncing these names or words wrong, I would like to say sorry in advance. And if you're confused on who I'm talking about, the names are in the description down below. You guys can check it out. But let's not talk too much here. Let's dive straight at it. So let's start with the blockbuster. This is probably the hardest match to predict in the round of 16. On paper, Spain have looked like the better team throughout the tournament. They're unbeaten, haven't conceded a goal, and absolutely dominated Austria 3-0 in the round of 32. Their midfield has controlled almost every match they've played, with Rodri and Pedri dictating the tempo, while Spain's high press has made life extremely difficult for opponents. Portugal, on the other hand, have had a much tougher path. They finished second in their group and then had to battle past Croatia 2-1. While they got the job done, they haven't looked as convincing as many people expected. But here's where things get interesting though, alright? Portugal are actually more dangerous when they don't dominate possession. With players like Bruno Fernandes, Rafael Leão, and Bernardo Silva, they will thrive in transition, since Spain will likely have most of the ball that could actually suit Portugal's style. However, Portugal's defense has been a concern. If you've watched their matches, instead of just looking at the result, they've allowed opponents plenty of dangerous chances. For example, against Colombia, they were fortunate to escape with a draw after a disallowed goal, and Croatia also found ways through their defense multiple times. Spain, meanwhile, have been rock solid defensively. Even though Nico Williams is expected to miss this match, Spain have still found goals from other players like Michael Oyarzabal and Pedro Porro. Lamine Yamal didn't dominate the Austria game statistically, but his movement still attracted defenders and created space for his teammates. The biggest battle for me is Nuno Mendes against Lamine Yamal. If Mendes keeps Yamal quiet, Portugal's chances increases significantly. So my prediction for this match, I think this game stays level for a long time. Portugal will have moments on the counter while Spain controls possession. In the end though, I trust Spain's consistency just a little bit more. So my prediction for this match is Spain 2, Portugal 1 after extra time. So let's head on right to the second match. Next up, we have the United States against Belgium. This one is closer than people might think. Belgium have the better squad. We got players like Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, Jeremy Doku, and Thibaut Courtois can change a match with one moment of brilliance. But Belgium haven't exactly dominated this tournament. They drew against Egypt, drew against Iran, and even needed extra time to beat Senegal. After trailing late in the match, defensively, they've looked vulnerable. Whenever teams attack them quickly, that's exactly where the United States can hurt them. So, the US plays with intensity, press aggressively, and they also have the advantage of playing in front of home crowd. That atmosphere could make this very uncomfortable for a match against Belgium. The biggest blow for the Americans is the suspension of Folarin Balogun. Losing your starter striker in a knockout match is never ideal, and they'll need Christian Pulisic and Ricardo Pepi to step up offensively. If the United States score first, this game becomes very interesting. But if Belgium scores first, I think their experience and quality will be enough to control the match. So my prediction for this match, I expect the US to make Belgium work for every opportunity. But Belgium simply have more match winners, honestly, if you look at each of them. So my prediction for this match would be Belgium 2, USA 1 in 90 minutes. But if the US scores first, things might actually take a turn. And finally, we reach into Argentina versus Egypt. This is the easiest match to predict on paper, but after what we've seen into this World Cup, no favorite can afford to relax. Argentina did beat Cape Verde in the round of 32, but they needed extra time. Defensively, they looked more vulnerable than expected and gave Cape Verde several good opportunities. Egypt deserves a lot of credit for getting this far though. They stayed unbeaten in the group stage, held Belgium to a draw, and then knocked out Australia on penalties. They're extremely disciplined defensively and have one of the most dangerous players in the tournament, Mohamed Salah. The problem is that Egypt rely heavily on counterattacks. Against Argentina, they'll probably spend most of the match defending. And if Lionel Messi, Julian Alvarez, and Enzo Fernandez control the midfield, Egypt may struggle to create enough chances. The longer the game stays scoreless, the more pressure shifts into Argentina. But over 90 minutes, I think Argentina simply has too much quality for them to handle. So my prediction for this match, I expect Egypt to defend well, but Argentina eventually breaks them down. My prediction would be Argentina 2 and Egypt 0. Well, those are my prediction for these 3 rounds of 16 matches. Spain to beat Portugal after extra time, Belgium to beat the United States in 90 minutes if the United States doesn't score early, and Argentina to beat Egypt in 90 minutes. Of course, this World Cup has already produced plenty of surprises, so don't be shocked if one of these favorites is pushed to the limit once again. Now, I want to hear your predictions though. Which team do you think is getting knocked out? Is Portugal going to upset Spain? Can the United States shock Belgium at home? Or will Egypt pull off the biggest surprise of the tournament against Argentina? So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on notification because I'm covering the whole World Cup. So, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.